What should I tell them? You're the cycling expert in marketing for Germany, PR. It's like, I don't know anything about PR. 50% of the people working in marketing have no idea about marketing. So you're just gonna blend in. And I was like, yeah, sure.
If you are aware of what you want in your life, there isn't a limit to what you can reach. I said, you're a journalist. Ask the right kind of questions.
If you think something is good, if you have the feeling, follow that feeling. What does it take? Courage.
The idea and then the courage.
Yeah.
Danielle, what we're doing is not brain surgery. It's so important to have fun with everything that you do.
We worked hard and we played really hard.
But it starts with your idea of how you want to live your life.
If you don't go, you won't know. I think it's the Fugees.
I have to think of Arnold Schwarzenegger's. He keeps saying you have to visualize it.
Surround yourself with clients that think like you. And this is the hardest part because that means you gotta say no to money.
In this Sports and Outdoor Mentors episode, I chat with Danielle and Philip, the founders and owners of the boutique marketing and media production agency Alternative 138. With a combined 40 years of experience in the sports and outdoor industry, we discuss the ups and downs of working for yourself and making the choice to start your own business while also putting family first. Before we get to that, I have one favour to ask. Less than 50% of people watching or listening are subscribed. So please hit the subscribe or follow button to help us reach more people so that they can also benefit from the valuable insights leaders like Danielle and Philip share. I hope you enjoy the episode and thanks for all your support.
Danielle and Philip, what actually would you like the audience to get out of the next 60 minutes or so? Anything that kind of stands out?
Well, we're talking about mentorship more than anything. I think I would like to show a little bit about, myself, but also about how Philip and I, lead our company, how we've come to, work together, first of all, and how we are managing or build our life, or actually build our company around our family life. This is not a story. For us, this is normal, but we've come to realize that many people find it an inspiring story. And in terms of mentorship, this is, I think, where him and me can share some of our experiences, some of, what we're about, just getting to know how we walk through life. And of course, yes, backdrop of that is the outdoor industry.
For me, it would be important, your audience, yes, it's a stage for us to also present our company, but more importantly, hopefully young people will watch that. And I think our story, but also my story, starting at a very young age, being self-employed, will inspire, especially young people, not the old people out there, but the young people to maybe start something on their own and maybe build some confidence in what they're good at and just follow that. So that would be my goal.
You've both spent, let's say, on or off and directly or indirectly, about 20 years kind of in or around the sports and the outdoor industry. But I'm interested, what kind of led to that? Was it a conscious decision that, you were kind of thinking, okay, I want to work in the sports and outdoor industry? Did you just fall into it? Or what were the key kind of reasons why you are where you are now?
Our daughter actually asked me this week, what did I want to become when I grew up? Okay. And for many years, I wanted to be a fashion designer.
Okay.
And so originally, I thought of going to art school. Then looking into that, I thought, no, art school isn't really me. I need something a little bit more grounded. Yeah. And then decided to study something commercial. So I thought, being my own, doing something for myself, my own company. And of course, fashion was very much a part of, the dream. When I was studying, it's called commercial economics, I did apply. I did internships at fashion companies, but the sports part of the fashion industry. So I was never the, let's say, Paris haute couture. I always thought, sports was my style. It was my kind of the part of the business that I was interested in. And then this is how I got into that. I was looking at internships and my first jobs after university in sports fashion, basically. And then I really quickly realized that the fashion industry as such, or creating my own brand, was not for me.
Okay.
And how I came into, let's say, communication and marketing of it was through a job I was working as a sales representative for Esprit.
Yeah.
But I knew that had, let's say, a shelf life because it was a pregnancy, a maternity cover.
Yeah.
And so I had time to look for other jobs. And at O'Neill Europe back in the day, so surf and snow, they offered a position for a PR assistant, European PR assistant. And when I saw that job description, I was like, well, that's me. Literally every sentence was what I loved to do. And yes, I got the job. And this is what I realized, like, yes, this is what I would love to be doing, working with text, video, traveling around the world for events, organizing these events. I realized I was good at organizing stuff. So a lot of things, yeah, that came together in that role.
Okay, interesting.
And opened up, let's say, a path that I didn't expect, but turned out to be me.
It was very conscious. When I started working in media, beginning of 2000s, I started my internship at a TV station, which is RTL, one of the big networks. And I was on one shoot and on one film shoot, and I felt so uncomfortable. And I was put in a situation that you shouldn't put a 21-year-old. And I told my boss, I'm not going to do this again. And by coincidence, we got to organize our own shoot at a snowboard event, 2001 in Seefeld, the Air and Style. So I didn't know much about snowboarding or outdoors. I was like, okay, I'll go there with two friends. We film. Yes, we got invited by the organizer. We filmed there. It was great. We met snowboarders. Some of them we knew from videos. And then we got invited to the after party, which was hosted by Quicksilver. So at the entrance, we got in. We were on the guest list. I've never been on a guest list before. And we got handed a pair of bathing shorts, Quicksilver shorts. And we're like, oh, wow. We're here with Stefan Gimpel, Marc-André Tart, our, let's say, legend heroes. And we got handed a free short. And I was like, okay, that's it. We made it. We peaked. But that was those two events were like, I was sure this part of the media, I don't want to have anything to do with it. And the other part of, that event, and that got us into sports. And since then, never left it.
Why did you have such a strong negative reaction, let's say, to TV? That's interesting.
There was a shooting at a school in Freising, close to Munich. And I sat there. I was like 21-year-old intern. There was like a proper journalist, a cameraman in the car. And our job was, we sat in front of the house of the teacher who got shot. Yes, and the information was from the chief was, she probably doesn't know her husband got shot. So we sat there packed, and even the journalist was like, I'm not sure. So I was sat there, now I get the chills. I sat there, it's like, I don't want to be in here. But then also I had my boss, I didn't want to disappoint him there. And then there was a journalist from a tabloid, Bild Zeitung, who walked up the street, and then the journalist said, okay, out. We need to be there before her. So we kind of ran to that building, and luckily drapes went down. She knew about it. She didn't open the door. And then, we did tabloid stuff. We interviewed the mailman and that stuff. And I still think about it. And I was like, no, that's not it. So that was a very, memorable moment. And
I can see how that can have such a strong impact on you. That's wow. That's terrible.
It is terrible. But on the other hand, the other part is, just the way people are in the outdoor industry, how also in the media, like in the most of the media, there's a lot of elbowing, and the family and the community. If you go to sport events, snowboarding, whether snowboarding, surfing maybe not so much. Male surfers are dicks, most of them. Sorry, the first one. But no, just the community on those events is just different. The way people interact. There's a friendliness, there's a family feeling, and just this outdoor feeling. There's emotions in sports, and I like that.
I think the example, I mean, I've heard this story, of course, many times over the years, but I think it's really important for people to also figure out what you don't want to be doing. And I mean, that was, of course, a very, on the nose example of it. But I think experience, yes, working at Esprit for me was, I saw a lot of my mostly female colleagues, in between sales conversations, standing, trying to keep their lunch in from the nerves, holding their bellies, from the stress, trying to make their targets. And I also realized there were a lot of things that I really liked about the job, but I saw this is not me. And I'm super thankful for the experience, because, I mean, yes, selling is a great thing, but there are different ways. And I have a very, very clear vision on how I want things to be sold and not. I think it's similar with you in the way how you think videos are made or news items are made, and how they shouldn't be made.
So after Esprit, as you mentioned, you then worked in marketing for, well, let's say until today. But initially, I think you did. You worked on PR first, then maybe events, now kind of media, and a bit of everything, in fact. So over that time when you were working for other people, what were the key learnings you had, or the things that you took away that help you run your own business today?
I must say, especially at O'Neill, I was extremely fortunate to have a manager that had great confidence in my abilities. And I'm going to repeat the biggest lesson I think about it almost every day that he gave me. He says, Danielle, what we're doing is not brain surgery. It's so important to have fun with everything that you do. And in marketing, especially in the type of stuff that we market, that is the most important thing. And if you have the ability to share the joy, a lot of, let's say, hardcore work is already being done by that. And so the confidence and say, put a lot of responsibility on the shoulders that, I was 22 when I started working there, but I had a lot of responsibility already. Somebody has confidence in, I could do that. And basically, I think that then gives you, let's say, a jump start into, well, I can do this for, any company, certainly, but why not start my own? And I think from a young age, I knew I wanted my own company. Yes, maybe a fashion, whatever. But actually taking the jump, of course, was also, I would say, born out of necessity. I was living in Munich at the time and wasn't happy in the job that I was in. It was a time where it wasn't easy to find another job. I had a few interviews, and then I just realized I don't actually like these companies or don't really feel comfortable in those roles. I should just start for myself then. Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily, okay, I'm now going to start my own company and that's what I'm going to do. It was also, well, I couldn't really find a job that fit me.
So, Philip, for you, obviously video, as you already kind of spoke about, video production has been, let's say, the red thread, the core focus throughout your career. But I think you were, as you already mentioned, you were being super lucky at a young age to work with some, big global brands. I mean, Adidas, Red Bull, WRC, World Rally Championship. Working for those type of brands, those type of businesses, has that in any way kind of helped you define how you want to be today, and how you want to work with your own clients today?
I mean, back then it was kind of, let's say, it felt natural to us because we started. I started the company when I was 21. I was still an intern, so at the end I paid my boss back then 50% of my salary in cash to have more time for my own company. So, and we came. I wouldn't say it's luck. I believe sometimes you got to be lucky, but you got to work hard to have that luck. And back then, was the three of us dedicated. We spent so much energy. There was a lot of energy to make it successful, and it was a transition, and that helped us from analog to digital. So back then, it was still on tape, and all the big news productions, they would come with a big, Mercedes Sprinter with lots of equipment. Is like, let's say, rather like middle-aged people, but very experienced on the machine, click, 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 doing this. And then it was us. And back then, especially in snowboarding, you would need actual snowboarders to understand how the sports work, where to stand filming a kicker. Don't stand on the knuckle, always look up the hill. So that kind of knowledge you needed to work in snowboarding. But at the same time, those snowboard dudes wouldn't know how to deliver a tape that you hand into a TV station. So that part, from analog to digital. So instead of the big Mercedes truck, we had like a 19-inch rack. It was still 150 kilograms. It was massive, but we could, with less effort and less logistics, do the same thing that the big trucks did. Back then, they were still filmed on tape, so you would actually have to press record on your computer. And then once the cards, when we're not filmed on tapes anymore, but on cards, it got way easier. So for us, I think O'Neill was the big first client, and then Burton came in. To us, it felt natural. Only in retrospective, like, how did we land those? We were like 3 or 4, let's say, young bums, hanging on a couch. But then again, at the end of the day, being super professional, delivering in time, having the professional upbringing that people within the industry didn't have. Tell a snowboard bum to keep a deadline. Whatever, dude, you're gonna get the tape. So I think that helped us to get into that realm very quick. And then we just proved our worth of our, let's say, spot on delivery. Yeah. And then what helped is we worked hard and we played pretty hard, and that was kind of our image after the job was done. Yeah. That helped us a lot.
As you mentioned, so at 21 you started your own company. Looking back at that time, what are the key lessons from those early days? You'd say, if you could give yourself, your 21-year-old self, some advice. Or would you even do it now, looking back?
Well, I think the way we set it up in our 20s was absolute the way. Just needed to be done. We didn't count the hours. We were in our 20s, what did we care about? We just wanted to bring this forward and dedicated everything towards this company, which made us so successful. With 138, let's say my second try of the company, it was just, I did it differently because the main focus was not, get the company as good and as professional and get more clients and get more jobs. It's more, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I do cycle, I want my time, and yes, you need a profit, but my main goal is not profit and a nice car or any of that. My main goal is, while my kids are young, I want to enjoy that time and have as much time as possible with them, because in 10 years they'll be out of the house and then I'll have a maybe successful business, but what happens to that time? So yes, in my 20s, I would do it exactly the same. Maybe drink and smoke a bit less, but then again, yes, no, it was good at the time, and we had courage. And we had other like-minded people that had the same energy and the same direction, and we had this group that was just all going the same way, and that helped a lot, not being just by myself.
So then in 2016, when you were pregnant with your second child?
2015,
15.
yes.
So you took the decision to was that the first time that you worked together, to come together and work and establish your own company?
No. I mean, Philip and I, we met on the job while I was working at O'Neill. I was actually basically Philip's their client, Drop-In TV's client. And
I see.
Yes.
so, of course, we met on one of those events. We were friends, and then, we became, we had a relationship. And a year later, I got a job offer in Munich, and I moved, but I didn't move because we were together, but I moved because there was a great opportunity, and it actually brought us closer together. 2015, basically, we had, during that time that we've been married, we've worked on several projects together, but never really together. Like, let's say we worked on the same projects, but we didn't work together. Often, of course, it was their company doing video production, and I was often on the marketing team or in consulting role, whatever. We know each other in business.
We worked alongside each other.
Each other, yes, forever, basically. And I was a freelancer, and I had a good friend of ours coming up to me saying, "Hey, I need your skill on some projects." And soon those projects, we figured it made sense for us to found a company. And then in the course of a week, really, he got offered an amazing job of the lifetime opportunity. And I discovered I was pregnant with our second child completely unexpectedly. And so we had shaken hands on starting the GmbH, the German Limited, together. And then these two things just, life happened.
Sure.
And then the question was, okay, what are we going to do? He said, if it's okay with you, I'd like to be a silent partner in the company and take this job. And I said, you should. I mean, we're friends first. And then, okay, so I'm now left in a role with a company by myself, pregnant with the second one, small child, of course, daughter was 1.5. Now what? And then I was like, well, we can build a company and not be in it the way he just described, doing it from the bat with pouring in all those hours. I thought, well, there could be a smart way to do it and build it with the CEO not being there full time.
Well, this would be kind of where my perspective starts. I left the old company, Drop-In TV, in 2014. I was in end of 2014. 15, I was freelance, and there's a difference to me between freelancing and being entrepreneur, because, one thing you do by yourself, and the other thing is building a company. And 2016 wasn't really a good year, so I had some time, and then Danielle said, "Hey, look, I want to go through with this," and this is to me, and I still tell people why I was so impressed with you back then, is you said, I think it was to my mother, said, or someone saying, "Oh, you sure, with the second kid, you don't have time to build a company?" And you said, "Well, the company can get used to the boss just being there for 3 days." I was like, yes, that's true. And, to your last question, how would I build up a company in my 20s? I would work 80 hours a week. How would I build a company in my 40s? I would rather spend 20 hours a week. And it leads, at the end, it leads to the same result. And we weren't always sure if that's going to work out, but now we build a sustainable and also profitable company with not putting 80 hours in and being the only one responsible. So this is why also in 2018 we decided, hey, look, so I started as general manager of a marketing company.
He actually took on my parental leave, my maternity leave cover.
Yes. So, which was in the beginning, yes, I knew the industry, I knew the people around. I could lead a team. My old company, we had, I think, 12 employees when I left. So I knew how to do it. But marketing, I mean, poof, that's really not my home turf. And all from week one, it's like, so there's the weekly meeting with the global marketing manager of Giro US, Dane Zafke. And I was like, Danielle, what should I tell them? You're the cycling expert in marketing for Germany, PR. It's like, I don't know anything about PR. And you said, I'll never forget it. I said, Philip, and you can quote me as Philip. How it is with people in marketing, 50% of the people working in marketing have no idea about marketing. So you're just going to blend in. And I was like, yeah, sure, she's doing that to reassure me. But now working 7 years, I would say it's probably rather 60%.
And what I also told you, though, and I think that this is more in terms of when we're talking mentoring, I said, just ask questions. Yeah. I said, you don't have to convince them that you're the cycling expert when you're not. But, I said, you're a journalist. Yeah. Ask the right kind of questions.
I did that, yes.
And he did that. I remember, of course, sitting at home, hearing those calls. Of course, they were all already, those were remote calls. We're talking to California. And I was listening in the background often, kids on the arms and, just that. Ask the right kind of questions.
What was the initial motivation? Because, you've worked for several different companies. You've got your own or had your own business. And, what was the motivation to initially at least to come together, although things maybe...
It was not very emotional. It wasn't like, we built this. It was like, you had this, we had one income, we had one household. We were and still are in a, I say, 50-50 relationship on equal terms. And it was just why not doing that together? So it wasn't like we did not have a real business plan of that. It was just like, we have this, we're paying into the family anyway. Why not do it smart and do this together? I think that was it.
Of course, him taking over, let's say, my parental leave, it was initially thought of course, as temporary. He didn't have that many, still enough, because he did a lot at night. You did your own, production work. Yeah, I was thought to come back as, let's say, the sole general manager. But then we realized that the way we were working was working for us.
I enjoyed it.
You enjoyed it?
I'll still do the PR work, being out there with journalists. As a producer on the jobs, I was always looking at the PR people. We did post-production, so we worked 14 hours a day, and then I would look to Danielle. It's like, what she does, 4 hours in the media office, then she goes out to lunch. I was like, tomorrow I'll do a free riding trip with 2 journalists. I was like, she calls that a job. And so the moment I took this part of the communication, I really enjoyed it. And up to this day, yes, I have a lot of 138 has 9 employees now. I do a lot of managing, but I still love doing her job that she used to do. I still love doing that, really, from the heart. But the decision to have a company together was logical.
Basically, how it went was we realized, hey, we're already doing this.
Yeah.
And it makes more sense
to
put it on paper for him to, we knew from Bastian, from the original founder, beautiful position to be in, looking back, is saying, you can buy my shares anytime, but there's no rush. You don't need to. I'll stay a silent partner forever if you need me to. But as soon as you want the shares, they're yours. And so that's what happened. Basically, when we were willing and able, there was another set shaking hands, and then of course we did. We invested. We thought, what is it that we need to make this into the company that we truly wanted to be, and that was the end of 2017, and basically 2018. Yes, 2018 is when we then.
That was a major, let's say, turning point in the company. We had a few clients, good clients. We had this kind of thing going, which worked well. We had like 2 freelancers, but if you have a business together as husband and wife, it ultimately comes to, if you don't write an invoice, you can't pay rent. So there was always that kind of pressure on, we need to perform and we need to take the jobs, because if we don't have that amount also on the bank account,
joint accounts.
We have a problem at home. So I'd like to describe it, here's the gorge, here's the here you fall into the water, and here's that wall with costs. And what you can do, you can put a lot of power in pushing that wall over there so it doesn't push you towards the end. But you need a lot of energy to keep that wall from here, and ultimately it will reach the end. So at one point you got to jump. So this is what we did. We went to the bank, we got a loan in, we invested first of all in also calming us down, knowing, okay, rent is paid for the next 3 months. Got some time to breathe. Let's look for clients. We also invested in the office, made it look nicer. We had only borrowed 2 chairs and 1 table. So we did invest there. We got a bit of pressure out of our backs, and all of a sudden, as soon as you let go, things fall into place. And that was the turning point, that instead of pushing towards the wall of costs, doing the leap of faith, have the courage, go to the bank, get some money, get sorted, and get that pressure off. And that
knowing that that's the right thing to do, that's what it needs. But it's still, of course, you're gonna have to take a leap. That's courage.
So if we're talking mentoring, and if any young people should watch this, what does it take? Courage. So
the idea, and then the courage.
And you can still fall, but without the courage, and you can take courses and lessons, but make the first step. If you don't make the first step, you'll never know. If you don't go, you don't know. So this is what brought me there.
If you don't go, you won't know. I like that.
It's not my quote. If you don't go, you won't know. I think it's the Fugees. I don't know. It's I'm not sure. It's a song, definitely. Yes.
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
Like that show.
Yeah, it's like that.
I wanted to just maybe briefly go back to that situation at the start where you were like, okay, I can't work. Why can't the CEO work 3 days a week? And okay, that's a very kind of practical example, but has that kind of ethos in terms of putting the family or the couple first, kind of being something that you've kind of continued? Is that really, is that the ethos of what you do? And how do you maintain that? Because as you said, okay, I get that going to the bank, getting the money gives you that freedom, but it also at some point needs to be paid back. So it's also almost a little bit of added pressure. It's maybe just pushing the pressure down a little bit. How did you kind of maintain that kind of ethos, assuming you did?
I absolutely, and it's very important for us today that this is sort of that everybody in this company gets to live in the same way. But it starts with your idea of how you want to live your life. And I was extremely fortunate that I've always liked working. My very first job, 15 years old, working at a delicatessen in Holland, a bakery, I always enjoyed it. But there are definitely more than enough jobs that I didn't enjoy. So again, back to the point, learning what you don't like is as important as knowing what you do like. And if you are aware of what it is that you want out of life, and in my personal, and I think it's us, but in my personal view, it's I like spending a lot of time working, being creative, creating things, organizing. But I also love spending time with my children. And I realized if I want to have children, if I'm fortunate enough to be able to have children, I know that there's this, the time together is short, is limited, because they'll be out of the door at some point. And I was always very conscious that I didn't want to wake up one day and like, oh, my daughter's 19 now. If she's anything like her mom, well, you won't see her because she'll be at the other end of the world, And so I realized I do not want to work full-time 40 hours a week while I have 2 children. But I know I'm capable of putting up a company, being of value to, in this case, my clients. How do I do this? Making enough money to sustain this life that I like to live. And keeping that going for a number of years. It is visualizing it. I have to think of Arnold Schwarzenegger's Netflix, whatever. He keeps saying you have to visualize it. But yeah, that's it. Visualize it. I kind of do the Austrian accent, of course, but it's a beautiful. I thought it was a beautiful way. Of course, he achieved everything he ever wanted to achieve. Same for me. I'm not Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I'm Danielle Rijf Jongerius, and I live my life exactly the way I wanted. Visualize it, and then visualizing, and he says this is important. I think I'm going to quote him here. The difference between dreaming and visualizing is visualizing means you are mapping out the steps on how to get to what the dream is.
Yeah. One step being, if you'd ask me, one step being is surround yourself, asking the question, what is the company you like to work in? And don't, let outside forces force you on this is the way you need to be. So starting, first of all, we're not freelancers. We're trying to make a business, and we have the way our business is. It's not our baby. Yes, it's not our life is in there. We're 2 general managers. So yes, and our first job is to make sure that the company is in good shape. But already on day 1, start on working to pass it on to someone else. So don't get yourself too much in there. And that happens if you spend 60, 80 hours a week. You get too much involved, and then when you get sick or you want to do something else, the company has to rely on you. So surround yourself with good people, with a good mindset that also think like you. And probably the hardest part is surround yourself with clients that think like you. And this is the hardest part, because that means you got to say no to money. And that is, and here comes the loan. That's not easy if you have that massive wall behind you that says, pay me, pay me, pay me. And it's a conscious decision. You not only make once, you make it all the time. It's,
about sustaining that. Yeah. You have to keep sight of how this changes, of course. How do I want to live my life? How do I want this company to continue to grow?
Yeah.
But the decisions are always in line with how you truly want it.
So a good example is in 2016, when I was still freelance, I still, while I had my day job, was managing 138, I still had a few clients, one of them being the World Rally Championship. And also, I think this is when I started working with the UCI. I still had a few media jobs that I did at night, basically. And I got asked for TV stuff. So I used to work in TV production. So it was back then the UCI approached me. It's like, oh yeah, we want to do this 1 hour TV show, 52-minute and a 26-minute show. And yeah, we want it for the TV broadcast. And I said, I was thinking about it. It was a substantial amount of budget. I was like, oh, I had this 14 years with my old company. It's not me. There's people out there who can do that better. It's not me anymore. And I said that on the phone. I said, Susie, I'm sorry, but I could use the money, but this is not me. So please hit me up if I was doing some social media productions back then. Hit me up if there's some social media. And I hang up, it's like, oh God, I just shot myself in the knee. I said no to a substantial amount of money. And looking backwards, people say, yeah, it's good if you have the luxury to make that decision. I was like, no, I wasn't doing really well. So I was not in a luxury position. It was a decision. I don't want to do this anymore. And look, 8 years later or 7 years later, it's all about social media. So that decision back then led me to where I am now, which is a thriving social media content production unit.
So you talked there about the importance of having a team and working with people. What's been the biggest challenge in terms of building and leading a team? Because I think arguably that's probably one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult parts of running a business, running your own business.
For me, and I think especially now that in the last 2 years, we've sort of doubled the size of the team. And yes, we're only 9, but it's completely different. There's several challenges. And I think Philip and I, we both have different challenges. So I can't say as a general manager, these are the challenges, but I am a very trusting, similar to how I was, let's say, treated at O'Neill, I'm gonna trust you can do this until you tell me you can't. Philip, being grown up as, having to do everything themselves and, building from scratch, he has trouble letting go.
Yes, that would be the challenge.
So, the high level of expectation, mostly of your own own expectations, and then making sure that the team gets that and delivers on that level, that's more yours. And for me, it's actually more seeking help with stuff that I can't really do, or So bringing a team together also, having different types of characters, trying to find all the strengths. I would have to say that we are extremely lucky there with everybody that works with us, and that they find the individual places.
I think the biggest...
Blending it.
I think the biggest challenge, especially if you're to switch from freelancer to entrepreneur, that's very hard, and many people cannot make that big step. I've seen people in my surrounding, and because it's such a different mindset, and like Danielle said, the difficult part is letting go, means to accept that if you do it in a team and not by yourself, it's never ever gonna be as good as you would do it by yourself. In your head. It's not saying that's reality, but in your head, it's never gonna be as good. So letting go means to accept that the product or whatever you're doing is not as good as if you do it by yourself. And to accept that you need other people. If you don't let anyone in, you're never gonna grow. So the biggest challenge for a freelancer that is looking for a clone. It's like, oh, I want to make a business, so I'm looking for someone who can do exactly what I can, and you're never gonna be satisfied. And those freelancers looking for their clones, this will never be turned into a business. So, that's one of the biggest, let's say, challenges.
So how do you, because if you're obviously self-aware on the topic that for you, it's maybe the biggest challenge is that letting go. So how do you then let go? Is it a process or a mindset or something that you have to be very conscious about? You're very aware of it.
Yes, it's a process, and it's still up to date. I still don't let completely go. So my role from being a video producer into now I call myself a creative director. That's a nice title, but I kind of live it by, I don't need to be involved in all the video. We're a team of 5 people. I don't need to watch every video, but now and then I want to be involved in, let's say, the proposals, the account management. It still needs to have my handwriting. So I will not watch every video, but I will watch now and then. I'll talk to the people and like, hey, look, if you do this, it should look like that. So yeah, I still have some influence, and that will never stop. But the actual execution, this is where, and also maybe a video, you have your deadline. It needs to be done at 8. If you want all the changes that you would do to that video, that's very easy. You're never gonna get it done by 8. And with PR or communication, there is no final result. The more time you put into it, the better it gets.
I think the process truly is, it's a lot of communication. And I think, you communicating how you would like to see things done, respecting that people do it differently. But if you're clear about the expectation, and in this case, it's not your personal expectation, it's often for us, it's the one that the client puts down. I think, actually our team has helped us a lot putting, let's say, the process for that in place. If you have this, let's say, brief of the client, make sure that you deliver exactly what that says. You can always communicate, hey, we think this would even make it even better, and then often they will say yes or no for whatever reason. But if you're gonna stick to the brief, it doesn't really matter who or how it's being executed, as long as the end of the line is happy with it.
Yeah, and I think, and this maybe goes back to, our purpose here on this planet of what is your inner motivation for your company. So if your inner motivation is wealth and profit and a nice car and a house and all of this, then you're gonna act differently. If your inner motivation is, I want to create something that I like to be in, I'd like to, on Monday morning, like, oh yeah, I go to the office. And if that is your motivation, I want to, spend time with my family. Yes, I want to provide. I want to go to the zoo on a Wednesday morning. I want to do this. And I think this is where it changes at one point. So probably I wouldn't, if someone really wants to get rich or create wealth, don't do what we're doing. Work 80 hours, put it in, take any client you can, exploit your employees, give them a lot of pressure, put the pressure on, expect the KPIs. Yes, that's what you should do. But if you want to create a space that you like, that you need to, what you apply to yourself, you need to apply this to your employees. Yeah. And at the end, I still want to do this in 15 years. It's not like, finally, maybe 10 years. But yeah, and I have 2 brothers, 2 older brothers. They're very dedicated when they were younger, university, all of this. I was kind of not the black sheep, but my parents were, it's fine, we got those 2, whatever, the little one, creative, that's fine. But I found my job and my dream job. I was put on earth to do that, to be exactly what I am. Also, the second part is coming back to you, being a mentor, being a teacher. I've been a teacher for my job almost 15 years now. So I found my dream job, and I'll probably going to do that the next 15 years. And I'm decently happy. To quote Sex in the City here, may I?
Wow.
Yes.
Wow,
Yes. Yeah. I'm not quoting. Yeah, I'm not quoting Game of Thrones. But when Charlotte is being asked, are you happy every day in your relationship? She says, yes, I'm happy every day. I'm not all day happy, but I'm happy every day. And this is, I think, what I can say for my work and family life. And I think we reach a balance. And again, coming to, it's possible for people who are watching this. We're not here to like, oh, look how great we are. Dane Trapp came to interview us, along with the Mammoth CEO and, all these people. And there's Phillip and Danielle. It's not like, oh, look how great we are. It's rather, it's possible. It's possible, and you can make that decision, and you can choose that path for yourself.
You mentioned there about teaching. You do teaching as well. That's something. Well, why did you decide to invest your time in that as well?
My first and only boss, Thomas. He passed away. He was the proper TV guy. He had he was bald, but had like a ponytail. He was wearing a zebra striped jacket, green pants, but he was a doer. He was like, oh, we do this, we do that, and he had his downsides, but he also, what he did, he was the one who said, if you want to have a career in media, get your own business. Don't work for someone else, get your own business. And basically while I was still working for him, he enabled us he gave us our professional equipment. He borrowed it. We went to a reggae festival, 10-day reggae festival, Rotterdam Sunsplash. And we were like 21. And he gave us 3 professional cameras, his private car, his Wohnwagen, his camper van, plus 400 euros cash. Like 4 guys on a reggae festival. But yes, what could go wrong? Well, at the end, nothing went wrong because we were shooting 12 hours a day. But he enabled me with he enabled for everything that I became to. He was the one who made it possible just because he believed in us and he trusted us and said, hey, look, here it is. I probably wouldn't have done that to any of my students, but he did that. And I think that was the start. He loved having people and teaching people. And I always have I always like teaching and having investing the time, but also what you get back in return. And I don't know if you have that in the UK, but here in Germany, you have like a 3-year apprenticeship. You do 3 years, you do go to school, but it's also the company. And if you do that, yes, it's a investment, especially in the first 2 years. But then you have an employee that knows your company well, starts on a low salary, and you build up from the beginning. So you have someone, if you do that and you keep those people in your company, you have the perfect employee because he's young, or he or she is young, knows the company, already is part of the culture. And this is also in the long term beneficial. And at the end, you're giving something back to society, which sounds rare nowadays, but that's part of the motivation that I help the young student, young boy, girl, very often to get into the job and work life and maybe find the same perfect job, dream job like I did.
Yeah. So you've both already mentioned a couple of people which I guess are influences for you, but looking back, is there, or maybe you can name those people first of all, but who have been those kind of people that professionally have really influenced you, would you say?
Well, I quoted him before, but yes, for me, that's definitely the first manager I worked with at O'Neill was Norbert Pollemans.
He's also the reason why we got married, or together, right?
The reason, I wouldn't say the reason,
but it was
we met. We met at his going away party.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks, Norbert. Thank you.
But he thinking about listening to you as well. Just I want to pass on, have passion for something, and if people find that, no matter what you do, I mean, yes, we both have great respect for teachers, and it's also with that we feel that that would have been my other profession if it wouldn't have been marketing or the start in fashion or whatever. But Norbert, yes, he showed you can just continue to have a fun job that you're passionate about.
Yeah. For me, it would be Thomas Zecher. Okay. Zecher is his name, which is German for drinking very hard.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Thomas Zecher, that would be my main inspiration.
So other than your day-to-day professional life, what role does sport and outdoor play in your life outside of this office, let's say, if any?
Oh, I would say a lot, not enough today. Our life has always been about, working in the sports industry, always, of course, was partaking in everything. I mean, I used to do a lot of climbing, freeride skiing, snowboarding. Now I lead a youth climbing group on Tuesdays. But that's indoor in the hall, which I'm not too happy about. Well, as soon as the weather gets better, we'll be climbing outside. And then, yes, nowadays it's mostly around being outside with the family. It's cycling to school, work. We live very close to beautiful forest park, and try and be outside as much as we can. And I still say that right now it's not enough.
Yeah. I do like cycling. Yeah. I do go on gravel rides. Bike packing, that kind. I do a bit of indoor swift cycling, but it's more to get in shape for my next tour. I mean, obviously I'm not super fit. I could be fitter, but I would say the outdoor life is translating it to our kids, showing them how cool it is to get dirty, to get wet. We don't complain about dirty clothes or if they come back in dripping mud, showing them how to use a Swiss Army knife, building dams. I would say this is how we translate our outdoor life. Not so much look, I go to the bike park every weekend. I'm so outdoor. It's more for us now teaching our kids the value of being outdoors, not so much in the sport, but getting creative out there without any particular activity. But yeah, you're right. We could do more, but then again, it's time to pass on.
Outdoor performance has sort of been, let's say, less of our focus. I mean, yes, I used to climb mountains, and it was great if you have these 4,000s, and then you can say you can do this summit list. But I think we're not as much about performance. In German it's called Leistung. What's the English word for it? Performing and achieving, as much as it is about just being happy in the moment regardless of what you do outside.
Well, which I think, like you said, with kids as well, I think it's so important that kids spend time outdoors, and like you said, in the forest, blocking streams, making dams. I mean, I think there's so much value in that for the kids and for adults.
Yes.
From a mental point of view, it's.
There's parts of building dams where my kids already left the river, and it's still me. Yes. I've always been outdoors, and that's kind of what I want to pass on to my kids, because the screens of horror. So anything we can prevent this, which does not work over, especially as a German, I can say this, with laws and restrictions. It works with showing them what cool stuff there is, what is an alternative than the screen. And so far, we're managing quite okay, I'd say.
So, looking back over the last 8 years, what's been the one of or the biggest challenge you've had to face, and what were your kind of takeaways from that?
Well, the biggest challenge is when you're in the lows, stay focused, trust in yourself, have the confidence that what you're doing, the product you're offering, will turn around. It will go up again. Don't get nervous. Don't get sidetracked. Don't take jobs you would normally don't want to take. Yeah, have your focus in mind. Same time, when you're up there, don't overspend. Don't get arrogant. Try to keep a level. And the challenge here is when times are low, don't fire your employees. Don't react too fast. Build a buffer, financial buffer, so you can compensate those valleys, and stay loyal to your employees without making too rash decisions.
I think for me, the challenge in the last 8 years is a lot closer to home. Has really been, we got to say it as many women would describe it, is the juggle. Like, yes, we have a family life, and in theory, it sounds great when you build your company around your family life, and we've done that successfully. But it still means that if a child in the morning is sick, and you have a podcast or an event that needs to be run, and there's nobody else to do it but you, then you have to have an alternative ready at all times, be flexible at all times, be capable of improvising. And so what was challenging about that, because we've been managing pretty well, has been that that's also extremely tiring. And I would say that, of course, what's challenging is balancing health still, mental health, physical health, alongside with that juggle. And I know that, that's not a challenge for let's say exclusive to entrepreneurs, but it's definitely been my biggest one.
Yeah, if I can, because you say right, I only look at the company itself, but obviously in the bigger picture, during Corona, we called it the Corona modus. So because we had 2 kids at home, and we couldn't do a full week plan, but always in the evening, we sat together, okay, so how are we going to do this tomorrow? And it was every evening, okay, how are we going to do it tomorrow? We looked at agenda, who has the more important meetings, who can do this, and always juggle, okay, who's going to stay at home? Okay, I'm going to go to work from 9 till 11, then you do this. Then I do the meeting in the afternoon. So that was probably, that year was a big challenge, because you always, you also want to give your children the attention at the same time, the company, and kind of, like you say, juggling this, now they're at school, it's sometimes easier, but if you say, if they're sick at home, also coming to, it's always with us it's never been, and this is how often in relationships, okay, the kid's sick, so mommy stays home. So this is something that never applied to us, and I'm also pretty proud of that.
Thinking about the audience of this, so let's say anybody that's working in the industry and that wants to kind of personally develop within the industry, is there any book or podcast, and I'm not looking for a plug, I don't know, film, TV program, whatever, anything that you would recommend that they read, watch, listen to?
I don't think it necessarily has to be something connected to the outdoor industry. For me, I was at a Beyonce concert last summer, and there's this Netflix documentary, Homecoming. It shows very much, whether you're a fan of the music or what she does or not, it's irrelevant. It shows really well the point I've been trying to make. If you are aware of what you want in your life, there isn't a limit to what you can reach.
If you could give future leaders of the industry 3 pieces of advice, what would it be? And we'll go one each and then you can argue.
Future leaders.
Yeah. So going back to the point at the beginning about, maybe if young people are watching.
Number 1 would be have courage. If you think something is good, if you have the feeling, follow that feeling. That sounds awkward, but don't let other people or outside tell you cannot do this, you cannot do it. Very often, and it's easier said than done, but don't think too much. Do it. Because we need, in our society, we need more doers and less thinkers. Well, think before you do, but have the courage, follow the courage, and don't be afraid of making mistakes.
It's very much in hiring equally and diverse. It's the one and only, and because this is what I think society as a whole needs, but also in this industry particularly, this is where we're going to find some jewels for the future. And it will connect to what Phillip said in be daring and be courageous, because that might still, I see it still, that there are not enough companies, and many are shouting it, and we're all equal opportunity hirers, but then at the end of the day, the metrics show that we're not. So a lot more conscious decisions on hiring equally and diverse. Please.
Number 3 would be surround yourself with good people that work for you, and surround yourself with good people that you work for. Don't take a job that you don't think is good just for the money. If you turn those down, it will come back. So focus on that. And don't take any shit jobs while fear is your motivator. Fear of missing out or fear. That's never a good motivator. That might get you along short term, but not in the long run. It will not make you happy. And if you're not happy, you're not going to make a good job.
If today was your last day, what message would you give to your team?
Go home now. Go see your kids, hug them, hold them tight. Yeah, but at the same time, if you haven't done that the past years, then you're probably already lost. So don't wait for the last day. Don't wait for the last day on earth to, embrace what you have, your wife, your partner, your kids, because life taught most of us like this, and a life can be over of your friend, of your cousin, of your father, mother. So don't wait for the last day. Go there 1 week earlier so you have more time to say goodbye.
For me, it would be just be grateful. And if you're not grateful, then find the source why it is that you can't be grateful. Feel good. If you don't feel good, make sure that you feel a little bit better.
Great. What a lovely way to end. Thank you very much, Danielle and Philip. I really appreciate you taking the time and getting to know you. It's been super interesting for me, and I'm sure there's a lot of really inspiring insights that you shared. I'm sure the audience will really kind of engage and react to that. So thank you for being silent. I appreciate it.
Hopefully. Thank you very much for coming. We really enjoyed it.
Thanks for having us, Dan, and really appreciate it.
I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Thanks for your support, and see you soon for the next Sports and Outdoor Mentors episode.